You're listening to the Limitless Leadership Podcast, the podcast designed to help automotive repair shops learn how to lead, coach, train, and manage their team better by sharing proven techniques and thought-provoking interviews from industry leaders. Are you ready to transform your leadership skills by tapping into unrecognized potential to achieve limitless results? Let's get ready for liftoff. It's time to go from great to greater. Here's today's episode.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to the Limitless Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Parnell. Don't forget to like this episode and subscribe to the YouTube channel at The Bearded Leader. That's at The Bearded Leader. Today's episode is all about two words that a lot of us have struggled with in many of our lives, including my own. And those two words are the namesake for this episode, which is take action. Take action. If you're listening to this episode, it is airing in mid to late January 2025. And if you're listening right now, you're probably thinking, hey, you know what? This might be good for me because I just set some goals as I get into this year. Maybe I'm already struggling with some goals that I set a few weeks ago. Maybe I'm struggling with a New Year's resolution that I set a few weeks ago. Maybe you're struggling to find momentum or motivation or confidence. And what I've learned over the years is that when we take action, motivation and confidence tend to follow. A lot of us don't take action because we're not yet ready. We're not yet prepared. We don't feel like now is the right time. I've got to keep on preparing, keep on doing these things. I got to get some motivation. I got to get some kind of level of confidence to actually start. And again, motivation and confidence tend to follow when we take action. I'm going to say that the right time, the best time is right now. So whatever you're doing, take the step, take that step, and I promise you, you're going to get some more motivation, more confidence. But today we're going to talk all about what it looks like to take action. And it starts with preparing ourselves. It starts with sharpening our axe. One of my favorite quotes from Chris Voss, he wrote a book called Never Split the Difference. And towards the end of the book, a quote that stood out to me was, when the pressure's on, we don't rise to the occasion, we fall to our highest level of preparation. And so when we're going to take action, again, we don't have to be fully prepared, but I do believe it's necessary that we do prepare to, we're preparing to achieve the results that we're trying to go for, right? So this year I'm setting goals, and goal setting for a lot of us is actually the easy part. Like when we set goals, like if you're watching this episode right now, you're going to see my hand kind of waving on your screen. This is the end in mind. This is the goal that we've set. This is the end result we're trying to get to. And for a lot of us, we begin with the end in mind, which is one of the 7 habits of highly effective people. But the key word is to begin. We do want to begin with the end in mind, but we need to shift our focus on the steps that I'm taking in order to get from here, point A, to here, point B, which is the end in mind. And too many of us set goals and we stay fixated on these goals, but we don't really know what we're doing. We haven't planned. We haven't prepared. We haven't identified the right action to take in order to achieve the goals that we've set. But when I say goal setting is the easy part, here's an example. I'm going to set 3 goals in about 3 seconds. This year, I want to lose 10 pounds. I want to get out of debt. I want to run a marathon. I just set goals, and I could be fixated on those end in mind for a while. But what do I need to do? Like, what's the true action I need to take in order to achieve all of those goals that I've set? So when I talk about sharpening the axe, here's a short story. Some of you may have heard this story before, but this is what I mean when I talk about we've got to prepare. We've got to be ready to take the action necessary. And it begins like this. Once upon a time, a very strong woodcutter applied to work at a timber merchant, and he got the job. Pay was fantastic. Work conditions were excellent. And for these reasons, he was motivated to do his very best. So his first day on the job, he goes to his boss. His boss gives him an axe, and he says, I want you to go chop down as many trees as you can. So the woodcutter takes the axe. He goes out his first day. He works tirelessly. He's chopping down trees all day long. He's able to chop down 18 trees on his first day on the job. So he brings 18 trees back to his boss, and his boss says, wow, that's fantastic. Motivated by his boss's words, the woodcutter is determined to go out the second day and chop down even more trees. So that was his intent. He goes out the second day. He works tirelessly, chopping down trees all day long, but he's only able to chop down 15 trees on his second day on the job. No big deal, the woodcutter thought. I'm going to go out the third day and just crush it. I'm going to go out the third day and chop more trees on the third day than the first 2 days combined. So that was his intent. He goes out the third day. He works tirelessly, chopping down trees all day long, but he's only able to chop down 10 trees on his third day. Man, I must be losing my strength, the woodcutter thought. He was confused. He went to his boss. He apologized. Boss, I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on. I guess I'm losing my strength. His boss looks at him and asks the question, when was the last time that you sharpened your axe? Sharpened my axe, the woodcutter said. I haven't had time to sharpen my axe because I've been too busy chopping down trees. And the moral of the story is we get like this in our own life sometimes. We're doing the same thing over and over and over again, day in and day out, and we're not taking time to step back and sharpen our axe. As you know, we naturally gravitate towards what we're comfortable with. We naturally gravitate towards something that's comfortable for us because we know that growth and comfort can't coexist, and it's uncomfortable to get out of our comfort zone. But if we're taking action, we've got to embrace that discomfort. Let's get comfortable being uncomfortable. And we can do that by adopting this concept of the compound effect. This is from a great book called The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. And in the book, he talks about a couple different options that we have. And one of the options is I can give you $1 million in cash, tax-free, cash in hand right now, $1 million, or I can give you 1 penny that's going to duplicate in value each day over the course of the next 30 days. So just to provide some clarification here, that penny today is only 1 cent. Tomorrow it's 2 cents. On day 3, it's 4 cents, and then 8 cents, and then 16 cents, and so forth and so on. So typically in a training room, I'll ask, who in here would take the $1 million? And I get a handful of folks who are raising their hand, and I get it. Immediately we're thinking, yeah, $1 million today? I can do a lot with $1 million. I can invest that and make it even more than $1 million. Plus a penny over 30 days. If I'm at 16 cents on day, 5, it doesn't even sound fathomable that I can even get close to $1 million. But did you know that if you took that penny by day 30, you would have $5.3 million. $5.3 million. So let's put ourselves in the shoes of the penny taker and assume that we didn't know that 30 days after we took that penny, we'd be at $5.3 million. Let's just walk through the journey that we're probably going through mentally when we take a penny, but we see our friend take $1 million. If we fast forward just a week, just 7 days into taking the penny, we only have 64 cents. So immediately I'm thinking, man, 7 days in, I could have $1 million, but I only have 64 cents. I'm not even cracking $1 right now, let alone $1 million. And here's my friend driving around their new car. They're debt-free, living the life, doing some fun things. And I got 64 cents. Clearly, I made the wrong move. Clearly, this was the wrong decision. Clearly, this is not the steps necessary in order to get from point A to point B. And so here's where the real challenge lies. We got to keep on going through it. We got to keep on growing through it. We've got to exercise some consistency, intentionality, and have the right attitude to really make this thing work. And so let's just keep on trusting the process and see where things go. Let's fast forward another couple weeks. We're 20 days in, and 20 days in, our friend, again, they got $1 million 20 days ago, almost 3 weeks ago, and we're just hovering over $5,000. We got $5,242, and we're thinking, what was I thinking? What was I doing? I should have taken that $1 million. This does not make sense. There is no way I'm going to get close to the $1 million. But this is where the real compound effect takes place. Because on day 27, we're at $671,000, which means on day 28, that's when we actually crack that $1 million mark, and we're at 1.3 and some change. And just 2 days later, we're at 5.3. And let's go one more day. I said we're going to go 30 days, but let's go 31 days just for the fun of it. 31 days in, we're almost at $11 million because we trusted the process. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is because a lot of us go through things like this, both personally and professionally. Professionally, we go through it because we're saying, you know what, 2024 was a great year, but 2025 is going to be even better. How is it going to be better? Because we're going to introduce this process and this procedure. and these habits and these behavior changes. We're going to try all these things and see if they work. We're going to try all these things and magically we're expecting in a matter of a few days, a week, just 2 weeks, that we're going to set the world on fire and things are going to be significantly different. But we have to remember that change takes time. Rome was not built in a day. Personally, we're thinking, you know what? New year, new me, right? 2024, great year. It was fine. Had some ups, had some downs, had some wins, had some losses. But 2025, this is going to be my year. This is truly going to be my year. New year, new me. I've been talking about it for a long time, but this year is going to be my year. So I'm going to do all the things. I'm going to try to make all these habitual changes overnight. I'm going to try to make all these behavioral changes overnight. I'm going to set all these New Year's resolutions. And one of those resolutions, I'm going to use an example here. The number one New Year's resolution every year, about 25% of resolutioners want to lose weight and eat healthy. So let's just put ourselves in that 25 percentile of the folks who want to lose weight and eat healthy. So what are some things we're going to do if we're trying to lose weight and eat healthy in 2025? We're going to perhaps buy a gym membership. Maybe we don't have a gym membership. We're going to spend money on a gym membership that we haven't been using. We haven't gone to the gym, but we're going to try to go to the gym now. So we're spending money on a gym membership. We're going to spend some money on some supplements to kickstart our journey. We're going to replace a lot of the sugars and the high fatty foods, the fried foods in our diet with some grass-fed, non-GMO, carb-free, calorie-free, sugar-free products that taste like cardboard, but we're going to grin and bear it because this year we're going to get ripped. We're going to get shredded. It is truly the new year, new me. I'm going to buy I found a treadmill on Craigslist. I bought that too. I'm going to buy some new workout clothes, maybe some new running shoes because I can run faster and jump higher in new running shoes. So I'm going to buy those too. And guess what? A few days in, and we're actually doing some things. A few days in, it's like, you know what? I can do it this year. This is not that bad. I've been waking up a little bit early. I feel a little more tired, but I'm going to the gym. I'm eating clean. I'm meal prepped. I'm feeling pretty good. But then about 5-6 days in, life happens. Our son has basketball practice. Daughter has cheerleading practice. Something happens, and we say, you know what? I didn't meal prep. That's okay. I'm going to swing through Chick-fil-A on the way home. But Chick-fil-A is okay because Chick-fil-A is basically like the Lord's meal. I mean, the Chick-fil-A employees are the closest thing to angels on earth. And so we're going to enjoy that number one chicken sandwich, and it's going to be settling pretty good in our stomach. So good that the next day we hit that snooze alarm and say, you know what? I've been doing pretty good for about a week. I'm going to treat myself. I'm going to sleep in just 1 extra hour today. And so I'm going to go to work and I'm going to, do my thing. And then I'm going to keep on doing my thing. And 2 weeks go by and I look up and realize, you know what? I haven't been in the gym in a few days. I haven't ran on that treadmill in almost a week. In fact, I'm hanging clothes on the treadmill now. The treadmill is just a glorified clothes hanger. I'm using it, but definitely not the way I intended. And so the whole point of this is the question I'm going to ask you is, where did we go wrong? Where did we go wrong in our journey of losing weight and eating healthy? We treat these things like a sprint, and we have to remember that it's a marathon. It takes time. We often overestimate what we can accomplish in a month, but we underestimate what we can accomplish in a year. And we've got to remember consistency, intentionality, the right attitude, having that mental fortitude, that resilience to know that things are not going to go the way we planned. But remember, we don't rise to the pressure. We fall to our highest level of preparation. What are we doing to prepare ourselves when things don't go according to plan? Even when they don't go according to plan, what action are we taking? What action are we not taking? Because a lot of that is going to dictate the results we're achieving. So we have to remember that the thoughts that we have dictate our feelings dictate our actions, and actions dictate our results. What actions are we taking that's truly going to drive us to the results we're trying to achieve in 2025? What habits are we forming? What behavior changes are we making? Studies show that it takes 66 days to form a habit. 66 days. And the reason I'm giving you this number is because a lot of us think it takes less. A lot of us thinks it takes 21 days, 30 days. That's a hot number we typically get. But it takes 66 days to form a habit based on what the internet is saying. And of course, everything on the internet is definitely true. But I will tell you in all seriousness that is what studies are showing. Research is showing that on average it takes 66 days to form a habit. Now, of course, different factors play into that number. The environment, the people around you, the life situations that you're going through. 66 days is just the average. Depending on the habit you're trying to form, depending on what you're trying to do, it could take more or less. But the number is actually not even the important thing. The reason I'm sharing the number with you is because a lot of us get fixated on this number. The number really doesn't mean anything, because let's say we're trying to form a habit that's going to take 66 days, and we know it's going to take 66 days. What we're telling ourselves on day 30 is, I only have 36 days left. In 36 days, I'm going to form that habit. On day 50, I only have 16 days left. Day 60, I got 6 days left. I'm almost done. And on day 66, guess what, guys? Formed a habit. I'm done. 66 days in, I have formed the habit. I am no longer needing to form that habit, which is a limiting belief. One of the greatest mistakes any of us can make is assuming all of our beliefs are true. We can challenge those beliefs, but I want to share with you that 66 days is just a number. We have to remember that habits are not a finish line to be crossed. They're a lifestyle to be lived. And we have to keep on forming these habits in order to drive change to the results we're trying to achieve. Speaking of changes, let's talk about behavior changes. Behavior changes are even more necessary than habitual changes. And here's why. A lot of us are trying to form new behaviors in order to drive new habits, but here's the reality of behavior changes. When we're focused on just one and only one behavior change, we have an 85% success rate in achieving that behavior change. But if we're trying to change two behaviors at the exact same time, that number drops from 85% all the way down to 40%. And if we're trying to change three behaviors at the exact same time, we only have a 5% success rate. So think about this. Why is it that I typically fail at my New Year's resolutions? It's often because we're trying to make these massive, sweeping changes overnight, these 180-degree life changes overnight. And it's not just one, it's many of them. It's multiple changes overnight. Remember, we often overestimate what we can accomplish in a month, but we underestimate what we can accomplish in a year. That's why, statistically speaking, by the second Friday in January, over half of the people who created New Year's resolutions have already quit their New Year's resolutions. That's why that day, the second Friday in January, is actually called Quitter's Day. There's literally a day in the year called Quitter's Day because more than half of the people who created the resolutions have already quit because it's simply not sustainable. We have to be consistent. We have to be intentional. We have to have the right attitude to drive these changes. You'll notice the consistency, the intentionality, the attitude, that's an acronym, CIA. 2025, we're going to be CIA team members. We're going to be CIA agents in 2025. This is what's going to help us continue to drive home the habits that we're trying to form. And we can do that by implementing or being mindful of the J curve. And the J curve is literally a letter J. So if you're watching this episode on YouTube, again, at The Bearded Leader, if you're watching this episode, you'll see my hand on the lower end of the J. And we're trying to go from here, the lower end, to here, the higher end. And we're expecting this linear progression, this linear trajectory from the lower end to the higher end. But the reality is we're trying something new. We're trying something different. We're trying something that feels awkward. It feels challenging. It feels uncomfortable. And we have to remember that growth and comfort can't coexist. So we want to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Inevitably, we're going to experience a dip in efficiency, a dip in productivity, a dip in accuracy, a dip in success. But too many of us allow us to go through the dip and we quit in the dip. We say, you know what? This isn't working. It's day 10, which, by the way, January 10th, 2025, that was Quitter's Day. And we're 10 days in, and we're saying, this isn't working. This process that we introduced 10 days ago, it's not working. This procedure that we introduced 10 days ago, it's not working. These role changes that we've made to our team, it's simply not working. But 10 days into the penny, we would have had $5.12. 10 days into the compounding penny, we would have only had $5.12. But if we kept on going, we would have kept on growing, and 30 days later, 20 days after day 10, we would have been at $5.3 million. And there's a lot of folks who are listening right now who have recently adopted and adapted some new processes, new initiatives, new goals, new procedures to your team. And you're starting to think, this is not working. Clearly, we need to go back to the drawing board. And my encouragement to you is to keep on going through it and keep on growing through it. I'm not suggesting that we don't assess it, we don't evaluate it. I think it's important that we always assess, always evaluate and reevaluate our goals and what we're doing to achieve them. But just know it's going to take some time. We've got to go through it, and subsequently we will grow through it. And so the whole idea is to ensure that we are taking action even when it doesn't feel right, even when it doesn't feel like we're ready, even when it doesn't feel like it's the right time. I'll remind you that the right time is right now. Take action, motivation and confidence is going to follow. If you want to make 2025 your best year ever, take the action even when you're not motivated. Discipline trumps motivation. Purpose trumps motivation. We're not always going to be motivated, but if we can remain disciplined, if we can stay the course, if we can trust the process, you're going to make this year the best year you've ever had. Each episode, we look to transform our leadership skills by tapping into unrecognized potential to achieve limitless results. So thanks again for being here, everyone. Don't forget to smile today. Have a great day today. Tell your loved ones how much they mean to you. I'm Josh Parnell, reminding you to keep leading well.